So what we will do is we will first and foremost, we will start off this presentation. Let me just share the screen. Is my screen visible? If somebody can just confirm if the screen is visible for all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So with this, what we are going to do is you're going to learn some tricks. You're going to learn some shortcuts and some of the features that you need to do that were hitherto not available to all of you or you did not understand. For the benefit of all the audience, this presentation is going to be in English only because we have got some international students also with us. So all candidates are requested to converse in English only. So the first thing that I want all of you to do is, without fail, take out your Texas Instrument calculator. Do the whatever is appearing on your screen, that is, switch it on. After you switch it on, go to second and go to reset. Can all of you see? Go to second and go to reset. Can you do this? Is it visible? I need some confirmation that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once you have seen reset, you're going to see a question mark like this. You're going to see a question mark against this. So what I want you to do is to enter, press enter. And once you have pressed enter, you'll see like this, it is appearing. Is it appearing like this on your screen? Somebody please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now what I want you to do is to press second and press quit. Press second and press quit. Quit is just the button above the second button. Quit button is just above that. So in effect, what you have done is that you have reset your calculator to the factory settings. That means that any previous data that was there in the calculator that potentially was saved in the calculator, that's being completely erased. Now, second, what I want you to do is to again press second and press the format button. That is the point button which is there. Press that format button. So can you see after you press format button, what is appearing on your screen? Can somebody tell me?
DEC equal to 2.
DEC equal to 2. So what I want you to do is to press 9 and press enter. Press 9 and press enter. Have you done that?
Yes.
Yes. And now thereafter press the down key. You will see it is DEG which is coming. Press again the down key. Then you will see that there is a date format which is appearing. And the date format is either in US written or it is written EUR. Can somebody confirm what is written on your screen? If anybody has been US.
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 All of you are having US? All of you are
Yes,
having
sir.
US?
DG.
Kaushik, Jitaditya.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
talking about after you've pressed the down key after DEG, after
Yeah.
DEG appears, press the down key. If you press the down key, then you will have US something.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what I want you to do is to now press enter. Press second and press enter. Press second and press enter.
It changes to euro now.
Yes, it changes to euro now. So we are going to use this euro as our default date format. The US date format, it happens to be MM, then DD, and then YY. The European format happens to be the DD, MM, and YY. So we're going to use this format for our calculation. After that, I want you to press the down key and you will see US. Can you see that?
Yes, and 1000 next to it.
Yeah, 1000 next to it. Leave it as it is. Press the down key again. Press the down key again.
AOS mode, sir.
CHN.
Okay. So if you have AOS, what I want you to do is to press second and press enter. Press second and press enter. Have you done that?
Yes, sir.
So it is appearing now CHN, right?
AOS.
So again, press enter. There are
CHN.
only- Yes. So if it is CHN, that means your calculator is now set. All of your calculator is now set for the purpose that we want to do. So now what I want you to do is to press second and press quit again. Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me briefly tell you what you have done. The first operation that we have done has returned the calculator to the factory settings. That means that any previous data which was there, that's completely erased. Why it is important is because on your exam day, you don't want to carry any data on your calculator. That is also a breach of the GARP rules and regulations as well. So when you sit for your exam, it is very, very essential that your calculator has all default value, because otherwise the invigilator reserves the right to check your calculator. So to check your calculator. So in order to ensure that your calculator has default values, you need to do this. Plus also you need to do this every now and then. That means I'm not asking you to do it every day, but let's say every week once or every 15 days once. The reason being, again, the same thing, that sometimes this calculator behaves a little strange, that when we actually do some calculation and we carry out some calculation, it does not return the value that is desired. Part of it, I'm sure that Jitaditya, you may also validate what I'm saying, because you face this problem in particular when we were actually doing the classes, that
Yes,
some of the
yes, sir.
times the values were not as were desired. The reason being,
Yes,
part of the reason being that some of the previous values were stored in the calculator, and that creates a problem. So when you do this operation, you have returned the calculator to the factory setting. Now everything is fresh. That's number one. Number two is that what we did out here is that we formatted the entire ethos of the, when I say ethos, I'm saying that we actually entire DNA of the calculator to the format that is essential for us. Now, you may see that after you have pressed this DEC9, now your value is only 10. Can you see that? There is only 10 which is appearing. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the reason is, what this means is that if you don't require any fraction, then it will always return only single digit. If you require only two fraction, it will return 2 zeros after the decimal. If it requires 4 places after the decimal, then it is going to show 4 places after the decimal. Now this 9 is called the floating decimal. The floating decimal makes your calculator throw values which are visibly appealing, because nobody wants to see a value 5536.78964 just because you have set the calculator to 5 DC5, because every time you set the calculator to DC5, 1 2 3 4 5, these 5 values will be returned unless it's a whole number. But when you have actually pressed 9, what will happen is that it is only going to return perhaps 5536 plus only 1 more decimal, if that's what is required. If it is 4 decimal that is required, then it is going to return 4 decimals. If it is 2 decimals that's required, it is going to return the 2 decimals. So this is the beauty of it, which not many people are aware of it. Second is that we changed the date format. Why is it so? I'm going to tell you a little later. Third important aspect that we did is that we changed the calculator format from algebraic to chain function. Now, why it is important is because, let's say when we do like this. So if you do like this in an algebraic function, the way the things would actually work out is that it is going to take out 5 into 5. It will understand 5 into 5, because once you press like this, because 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and then 5 into 5, it will affirm as 25. But when you use the chain function, what happens is that it becomes 2 plus 15 is equal to 17. So that's the beauty of the chain function. The chain function makes you do calculation without using parentheses or without actually making any hierarchy to your calculation. All right, with this now, let's see some math function that we have to now understand. Now, these are certain syntax that I want you to understand. For example, I want to find out the 6% of 670. How do I do it? How do I do it? So I can do it. So there are a couple of ways to do it. The long way of doing it is that I say 670 into 0.06, because 0.06 happens to be 6%. So it is going to return me some value. Can somebody tell me quickly what is the value that they're getting?
4.02. 40.2.
40.2.
40.2.
Now, what I want all of you to do is to do this syntax which is appearing on your screen. That is 670 multiplied by 6, and then simply press the percentage button. And press obviously equal to after that.
40.2.
Okay, so what did we do? We saved 2 seconds out of this. If not 2 seconds, at least 1 second of operation is being saved. Because when you use this, we don't have to calculate the decimal. Of course, I leave it to your choice, but sometimes saving even a few seconds can be a very big decider in your exam. So these are certain math functions. If you can remember, in fact, you don't have to, again, as I say, that you don't have to remember anything. It's all a matter of practice. As you can get habituated with this, all of these things are going to come to you very naturally. Similarly, for example, this was the first operation that we did. Let's do the second operation. So for example, we want to find out what is that value? What is that value? The 17% of which is 30. So how do we do that? How do you do that? One simple way of doing it is basically 30 divided by 0.17, right? Because what we are saying essentially is that X, if we understand X to be that number, so X into 17% is equal to 30. That means X is equal to 30 by 0.17. So another fast way of doing it is that just to follow this syntax and see the result. The results are going to be same again. So the syntax is 30 divided by 17 and just put percentage to that. Can you do that?
176.47.
176.47. So again, what you have done is that you have saved 1 second out here. Similarly, if you want to add 5% tax to your sales price, this is what you have to do. If you have to get a discount of 16% to your sales price, this is what you have to do. Okay. So up to this, I don't think that is going to be much problem. It's very easy peasy altogether. Now let's say factorial. What is the meaning of factorial? Let's say I want to find out the factorial of 5. So factorial of 5 would mean it is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, right? So instead of doing this lengthy calculation, all that we can do is to press 5 and then press second and then press the multiplication sign. And voila, you got the factorial 5. All of you are getting the same result?
Yes.
Okay. Similar is the case with permutation. So permutation would mean, for example, 16p5. 16p5 would mean 16 into 15 into 14 into 13 into 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So instead of doing this lengthy calculation, if I have to do 16p5, all that I have to do is press 16 and then press second and then press 5. Just a sec. 16 second 5 and then mine. 16 second 5 and then the minus sign. All of you are getting this?
No, sir.
Okay. What's the result that you got?
524160. Is this correct, sir?
Sorry.
524160.
Yeah, it should be correct, of course, because 16 P5. So second, maybe my calculator is a little old.
So first you have to press minus 16, second minus button, then 5.
16 second minus button and then 5 is equal to 5246. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thanks a lot, Yogesh. Yes. So 16 second minus 5 minus button and then 5. So similarly, if you have to find the combination, it is 16 second plus button, exactly the syntax that you're following here, which you're getting here. If you follow this syntax, you cannot make mistakes. So this is 16P5, this is 16C5. So the way to do is 16 second plus button, and then we press 5. So this becomes my 16C5. All right. 7 to the power 3, if I have to find out. How do I do it? Press 7, press y to the power x and press 3. 7 to the power 3, if I have to do it. How do I do it? Press 7, press y to the power x and then press 3. What is the result all of you getting?
343.
343, that's the correct answer. Now, sometimes just to understand random numbers, so random number normally would not require, just for your understanding. If you pressed second and then press the divisional sign, you're going to get infinite number of random numbers, which will be between 0 and 1. Can all of you see what's the random number that you're getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do is to press this at least 2 times, 2 to 3 times, to just see whether it's really random or not, because every time the value would be different.
Yes, sir. They are random.
Okay. All right. So let's now from here, let's go to the memory functions. Okay. Now, 2 things are important out here. One is that if I have to store a value, sometimes we have when we work, we are getting certain results. For example, we got a result of 25. Now I know for a fact that this result of 25, this value would be required maybe in some other calculation. So how do I go about it? So I can do one thing. I say 25. So I say second. Sorry. So one way of doing it is I simply say STO1. So if I say STO1, so what happens is that whatever be the display value, that display value is stored in the key 1. Can you see that yourself? For example, write 25 on your calculator. After you have written 25 on your calculator, what I want you to do is to press the STO button and then press 1. Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
And then press the CC button. If you press the CC button, you're going to get 0, right?
Yes.
And now I want you to press the RCL button. RCL and then 1. Recall 1.
25.
25. So that means what has happened is that in the key 1, there is a memory which has been attached, and that memory has stored the value 25. Like this, from 0 to 9, you can store up to 10 memories. You can store up to 10 values in your calculator itself. Now, why this value is essential? Because as you know that when we are working, we might have to use a value repeatedly or may be required for a future calculation. So in order to use that value once again, so we can store this value in our calculator. Sometimes some complex calculations are also there, which needs to be stored in the memory for future use. So this syntax allows you to store these values and then recall them as it is required. Now, there is one more function which is similar in nature, which is exactly the same thing in nature, but it's being presented in a different manner. So what I wanted to do is to press second and press 0. Can you do that?
M0 is equal to
Yes.
0.
So M0 is 0, and thereafter, if you press the down key, you will get M1, again 0, M2, again 0, M3, again 0. Are you getting that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is just another format of the store function only with one difference. The difference being here you can save the number sequentially. Here you can save the number sequentially, and the way it is actually helpful. I wouldn't say it's particularly helpful. What it does is that, for example, if from 0 to 9, if I have to store some value, so I still have to remember in which key I have stored which value. But when you actually store value in this fashion, all that you have to do is to go to second memory. Every time you want to recall the data, go to second, go to memory, and then thereafter just keep on pressing the down key till you come to the value that you want to actually retrieve. So that's the only difference between this and this. This obviously is very flexible in the sense that you don't have to repeatedly go to second memory and press the down key once every time to find out that data. For example, I told you that you stored the value of 25 in the key of 1. You could have stored the value of 43 in the key of 7 as well. Just that you need to recall that in 7 that you have stored some value. So all that you do, then I press recall and then press 7, I'll get the value of 43. But in this case, if you store the value of 43 in memory 5, then you will have to press second and press memory and press the down key 5 times in order to come to M5 and then retrieve the value of 43. All right, so this is the store function. But the beauty of this storability of the function is that they also allow, they are not static function. they also are dynamic in nature, in the sense they also allow you to do all the arithmetic calculations that you can think of with the stored value itself. For example, let's store the value 25 in the memory key. Okay, so then I come out of it 25. All right, and now let's say I write 44. Okay, so what I want to do is, let's say 44 is on my screen. I want to divide this 44. I want to divide this 44 with 25. So how do I do it? One way of doing it is that I simply say 44 divided by recall 2. Then it is going to give me a value, right? It is going to give me a value. Is it giving me the value?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another way of doing the same thing is, but there is only one difference, and that one difference is that that value will be stored in that memory once again. Another way of doing it is what is appearing in your syntax. So for example, 44 is my value which is appearing on my screen. So I then say store and then 2. Sorry, I press store. 44 is appearing on my screen. So I press store, and then whatever function I want to do, I want to do the division function. So I press division, and then I press the memory key 2. Okay. And then you press equal to, you will see nothing is appearing. It is still at 44 only. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Now press recall 2. Press recall 2. Can you see? Can you press recall 2? 25 is stored in your memory 2. I wanted you to write 44 on your display screen, and thereafter I wanted you to write the operation that you wanted to do. For example, I wanted to divide. So I'll say divide, and then I will, I will say STO, that is store. And then I will press this division, and then simply press equal to sign. If I press equal to, then nothing happens. It still shows 44. After it has shown, then I press RCL2. If you press RCL2, then you will see a value of 0.56818. Are you able to see this?
No, sir.
Why?
It's showing 0.
No. Do this operation once again. Do this operation once again. What I want you to do is press second, press clear work. Okay, press second, press clear work. Now what I want you to do is to press 25 and press this 25, store this 25 in the key 2. In the key mark 2, press this 25. Then press CC, recall 2. If you recall 2, what is happening there? If you recall 2, which value is showing? 25, right?
No, sir. It is showing 0.
Yes, sir. 25.
It is showing 25. If you store 25 in the key 2, if you recall that key 2 once again, it is going to show 25. Is it showing 25? It must show 25.
Yes.
Okay. Now I want you to press CEC, that is cancel work. So if you press CEC, it's going to get 0. Okay. Now my question out here is, for example, I want to divide 44 by 25. I want to do this. I want to do this math. Now this 25 is actually stored in my key, that is 2. So how can I do it? So the way to do it is you press 44 and then you press STO, press 44, press STO, and then press division sign and press 2. Okay. After you've done that, you press equal to, and nothing will happen. It will still show 44 only. Is it showing like that? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Now I want you to press now CEC. That is cancel. Everything is cancelled now. Okay. And now you want you to do this RCL2. If you recall 2 now, what is showing on your calci?
0.5681.
Yes. And now I want you to press the button 1 by X. The 1 by X button is there. 1 by X button.
1.7.
This is exactly what we had said, 44 divided by 1.76. Now, the point is not to do this silly calculation and show to you that why it's such a big thing we have to do in order to come to such a silly calculation. But I do understand that in our exam, in our calculation, there can be multiple complex things which will be required. Okay, and I want to have very quick value. So this is one way of doing it. So I showed you both the ways. One is to directly use the STO function under this to use the memory function, and then in both the ways how you can actually involve and integrate that in your worksheet. So we gone through the math function, we gone through the memory function. Let's do one more thing. The last function that last answer I want to do. Sometimes what happens is that we do certain calculation. For example, 56 into 32. The result is 1792, right? Now I want you to press CC. That means you don't know what was the last answer. Sometimes it happens that we want to find out what was my latest calculation answer that we got, right? So how do I retrieve the last answer? So the way to do it is press second and press answer. Are you getting the same result? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of you are getting the same result? Great. So that means this is the feature of last answer. A very, very important thing. Sometimes what happens that we do complex calculation. Sometimes, somebody please go to mute. Go to mute. Jitadito, please go to mute. Only when asked, please answer then only. So sometimes what happens that we do certain calculation and maybe we have just forgotten to store them. Maybe that answer is required again. So all that you have to do is to press this second and press answer, and voila, your last answer will be displayed immediately. Now let's go to the next worksheet. Now these are the things that we are going to study. That we are going to learn. We are going to learn the time value method of money, the TVM function, the amortization table, how to use the cash flow worksheet, the bond worksheet, stat worksheet, regression, one variable, date worksheet change and interest rate conversion. These three things, which are also part of your calci, is not required for FRM students. These are particularly important for the CFS students. So we're not going to chat this. So let's first start with the TVM. TVM stands for time value of money. So what I want you to do is to, first and foremost, I want you to do is to check this thing. Can you check this second and I by Y? Can you press this second and I by Y? Can you press second and I by Y?
So 1.
Okay, press the down key. As it is appearing on your screen, just keep on doing the math. Just keep on doing the operation. What is showing? After second, C by Y. Do not, and I repeat, do not ever change this. Even if God comes and tells you to change this, please do not ever change this. Leave it at this at default. This is one very, very important lesson that I want to tell all of you, that never ever tamper with this. It should always remain this. Okay, do not change it. Now, how do we make use of the time value method? In time value method, what are the things that we try to find out? We have the present value, we have the I by Y format, which is called the interest per the compounding period. N is the number of periods, FV is the future value, PMT is the payment or the cash flow per compounding period. After each of the exercise that we do not forget to do this. Jitadityo, do not forget to do this, because this will ensure that your memory is completely free. Which memory? Your TVM memory is completely free. Now, we will take up a couple of sums in order to understand that how the time value method of money works. So let's take this problem first. An investor parks $10 million. Is it 10 million or 1 million? It's 10 million, right? $1 million. It's $1 million. An investor parks $1 million with an insurance company that is promising an annuity of 15,000 US dollar each year for the next 15 years. The crediting rate being 6%. What is the lump sum redemption value at the end of 15 years? So let's first visualize the problem. What's happening here? So we are at time t is equal to 0. This is time t is equal to 15. This is obviously time t is equal to 7. T is equal to 5. The 1, 2, 3, and 4. T is equal to 1. T is equal to 2. T is equal to 3. T is equal to 4. T is equal to 6, 7. And this is 11. T is equal to 11. T is equal to 12. T is equal to 13. 14. And here we have t is equal to 8, t is equal to 9, and t is equal to 10. So all right, we have mapped all the 15 years, 15 periods. Let's see what the problem says. The problem says the investor parks $1 million. So there is a cash outflow that is happening at time t is equal to 0 because he's parking this money. So I write here minus 1 million. This is 1 million. This is this 1 million, right? The insurance company promises an annuity of $15,000 each year for the next 5 years. So here a payment that is happening here, 15,000 US dollar payment happening. Here again, 15,000 US dollar payment happening. And this series continues up until here. Okay. Up until here, it continues. Okay. Now, the crediting rate being 6%, what it means is that the insurance company is going to pay him at the rate of 6%, of which 15,000 is being paid each year. Okay, so what it means, so let's say 6% of 1 million. How much is going to be? Can anybody tell me what is 6% of 1 million? What is 6% of 1 million?
60,000.
60,000, that's correct. So the insurance company is actually paying this guy 60,000, but the actual cash outflow each year is 15,000, and the rest 45,000 the insurance company is reinvesting along with the proceeds itself. That's what is meant by the crediting rate. So with this crediting rate, we have to find out what is the lump sum redemption at the end of 15 years. Of course, here we are assuming that there is no casualty, there is no mortality that's happening. So how do we do it? So the first thing that we do is we say second, and then we say CLR TVM. That's the first syntax that you'll be using. Can all of you use this second TVM? Can all of you confirm that you've done this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now one by one, I want you to put all of these things digits. First and foremost, write 15 and then press N and then press enter. Write 15 and then press enter. Right? Have you done that? Somebody please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then write 6. Write 6. Then press I by Y and then press enter. Right? Have you done that? Somebody confirm, please. Somebody confirm, please.
Done, sir.
Okay, then write 15,000. Obviously, after you've done, when you are doing all of this, do not forget to press the CC button, cancel. After every inputting of the variable, do not forget to press this. Okay. Write 15,000. Write PMT and press enter. Okay.
Done.
Great. Now what remains?
We have to put PV of 1 million in minus sign.
Absolutely. Now the initial investment. So what I want you to do is to press minus. That is to say, you cannot press minus just like that. Obviously, you first have to press the CC here, cancel. So press 10, write 1 million. That is 1. And then plus minus sign. Once you press plus minus sign, it's going to come with a minus sign. And once you've done that, press PV and enter.
Done, sir.
Done? Okay. So now what you have done is that out of the 5 variables, we have inputted 4 variables, the N, the I by Y, the PMT, the FPV. What is remaining? FV is remaining. That is exactly what has been asked. What is the lump sum redemption value at the end of year 15? That is here. What is the FV? So how do I find out? Simply press CPT and then press CPT and then press FV.
Done, sir.
How much is the value you're getting?
2047418.
All of you are getting this value?
Yes, sir.
All of you are getting
Yes,
this
sir.
value? Yes. So what it means? What it means?
It means that the 1 million has become this value after 15 years, after paying 15,000 annual, like getting
Yes,
an 15,000
absolutely. So we are talking about an investment that pays me 15,000 US dollar every year, where the crediting rate is 6% and the rest of the money is reinvested. And at the end of 15 years, the lump sum value that I'm going to get is going to be 2 million something. That's what. Okay. Let's do the next sum. The next sum says a bond is issued by ABC Corporation that has a remaining life of 10 years and pays a 12% semi-annual coupon. 12% semi-annual coupon. The YTM of the bond as on date is 10% with a face value of 100. What is the theoretical fair price of the bond on date? Okay, so let's again map the cash flows. Of course, I'm not going to write the entire 20 cash flows. I'm going to just write the year, a few years, and the rest of it, obviously, you can understand. When I say here T is equal to 0, obviously, we're talking about the 0th period. But when I say T is equal to 10, we are talking about at the end of the 10th year. Okay, do not forget what I'm saying. So let's say we are talking about, so this is year number 5, T is equal to 5. This is year number, this is T is equal to 8, T is equal to 9, T is equal to 6, T is equal to 7, right? And then T is equal to 1, T is equal to 2, T is equal to 3, T is equal to 4. So these are the 10 years that have been mapped. All right. So with this, what else is being talked about? It is being said that this particular bond pays a semi-annual coupon. So that means one coupon will be paid here, another coupon will be paid here. One coupon will be paid here, another coupon will be paid here. So how many coupons will be paid altogether?
20.
There will be
20
such,
coupons.
there will be 20 such coupons. So the number of coupons that are going to be paid is going to be 20, right? Which is basically 10 into 2, which is also the periods. All right. Now, if a bond which is paying me 12% semi-annual coupon, so how much of a coupon we are going to get every year, every period?
6 rupees.
6 rupees.
I'm going to get 6 rupees, or, you know, as the case may be, 6%, as the case may be. Okay. So that means every time the cash inflow in the form of coupon, which I write as PMT oblique CPN, is going to be 6, right? How it is 6? It is 12 divided by 2, right? So if the yield to maturity of the bond is 10%, that is the rate of interest is 10%. What is the semi-annual rate of interest that will be applicable in this case?
6%.
5%.
For that YTM, yeah, 5%.
YTM is 5%. So that means the I by Y here defaults to 5. How it is 5? 10 divided by 2. Okay. Now, always do make this conversion first and foremost handy. And these conversions are so handy that it's better not to use. Your Calci actually provides that function. Remember, I told you that, you know, P by Y is equal to 1 and C by Y is equal to 1. Just keep this value on the default mode. Do not change that. In fact, the reason of me telling that is you could have done the same problem in here itself. However, while doing so, I would have used C by Y as 2, and then I would have raised a P by Y as 1. And with that, if we have put in the annualized value of the coupon, the interest rate, that is coupon of 12, and the annualized value of 10, the calculator would have returned me the same correct value. However, there is a catch to this whole process, because 9 out of 10 times after you have done this math, you would forget to again reset the value back to P by Y is equal to 1 and C by Y is equal to 1. And if you do forget, like Jitaditya does most of the times, so your calculator will start dancing in the next calculation onwards. Do you understand now that why I said that leave it as it is and do not tamper with them? Okay. So this is the only few bit of conversion that you have to do. I'm sure that as I'm speaking to you, doing it mentally is not going to take more than 15 seconds, right? This is a 15 seconds job, actually. So now everything is set. What do we have to do? We have got N, we have got the PMT, we have got I by Y, and the face value or the future value also has been given as 100. What is being asked? PV is being asked. Can you do this job for me? Can all of you do this job for me? Just
Yes,
input the
sir.
value.
112.46.
112.46. This is the answer. So all of you are through. TVM is the most used function in your exam, in your FRM curriculum. All that we are talking about are basically 5 variables. But this 5 variables, out of this 5, if you input 4, obviously the Calci is going to give you the 5th variable. The only possible way the Calci will not do the job is that if you keep on not clearing your memory every time after you have done your TVM calculation, do not forget to do these 2 work, that is clear CORK and clear TVM. Do not forget to do this job. If you do this job, your calculator will always behave absolutely prim and proper the way you want it to behave. Okay. So this is the first thing that we have done. Now we're coming to amortization schedule, one of the most important aspects, because this is a type of problem that we are going to you're going to get in your FRM exam if you're dealing with something called as the mortgage-backed security. All right. So in this MBS, let's see what to do. So let's just read out the problem. The problem says, Ananta Joshi takes out his 10-year mortgage at 6% fixed for a loan amount of USD 10 million, okay, from ABC Bank. Calculate the EMI to be paid. This is the first part of the problem, okay? The first part of the problem is asking me to calculate the equated monthly installment or the EMI. And then there are 2 more parts of the problem. So this is the first part of the problem. The second part of the problem says that exactly 2 years, 7 months down the line, Anant has an option to refinance the loan at a lower interest rate from a competitor. Does it happen in case of an MBS security? Does it happen? I think it happens. People who have attended the class, they would have known what I'm talking about. And in real life also this happens. So we are talking about a 10-year loan, but after 2 years, 7 months, the borrower has an option to refinance the loan at a lower rate of interest from a competitor. Can you tell what will be the principal balance then? Okay. Also, the third part says that when you migrate this loan, you also need to understand, or you also need to calculate, if you do migrate, how much of interest you would have already paid by them. Okay. And then there is the fourth part of the problem. What it says, can we also calculate how much he paid between year 1, year 8 months, 1 year 8 months, some time period that has been given. The time period that has been given is that between 1 year 8 months and 2 years 6 months, and split between the principal and interest. Sounds complicated, right? Is this a complicated math for all of you to do it on an FRM exam? I need an answer. Does this appear a little complicated?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the answer is yes, it is complicated if we have to do this in 2.5 minutes, right? In flat 150 seconds, if we have to do this math, maybe all 4 will not be asked. If all 4 have, or all 5 are to be asked, if all 4 questions are to be asked, they might split it in 2 questions or even 3. I do not know. But my Calci does provide me some excellent opportunity to do this. Even if 2 or 3 questions are to be done, I can do this 2 or 3 questions in 1 question's time allotment only. Okay. Now, before this, I want to shift from this particular worksheet to an Excel worksheet to first work it on the Excel sheet, so as to know that we are going to do whatever math that we do after this, that is exactly going to be same and correct as the Excel sheet would predict. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to the Excel sheet. This, and don't worry, this math has been done at my end. So I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to redraw this math once again for you. All right. All right. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is written? Can somebody tell me what is written?
It's period, loan, OP, interest period, EMI, PMT, principal, interest, and loan cumulative interest. I think so.
Okay. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is that this is the amortization worksheet that I've worked out. Okay. Now I don't want you to focus on this except for this, because this is the loan that he has taken out, right? So let's do this. I'm just going to copy this header first. This is the only thing that I'm going to copy. The rest of the thing, of course, is going to be as easy as possible. Now, of course, this 0.5% interest, because this is the thing that is being required. So I place this. All right. Okay. And I say, what is the loan that is to be taken out? Let's see. The loan is, this is the loan, right? This is the loan. All right. So the period happens to be again 0. Now, how many years of, actually we say it, how many years? 10 years. It was a 10-year loan, right? So 10-year would mean 120 months. So let me just then put 120 out here. That is 0, 1, 2, and then we yeah. Okay. All right. So we have mapped now 120 year, 120 months, 120 months, because we are talking about 10-year. Now, what was the loan? So let me just link this sheet. Doesn't matter. We could have written it ourselves as well. So we say the loan is this. All right. What is the interest per period? Now here, I want you to understand one thing. What was the annualized rate of interest? It was 6%. Am I right? Did all of you see the problem? The annualized rate of interest to be paid in the mortgage was 6%. Am I right in my understanding?
Yes, sir.
So what is going to be if I complete, if I translate this in monthly, because I have to pay my EMI on a month basis, what is the interest per month?
0.5.
Sorry,
0.5.
0.5. All right. So I write this 0.5. Okay. And then this 0.5 is obviously applicable. Okay. So this is my 0th period. Opening, obviously, the opening time, there is no principal being paid. There's no EMI being paid. So what is going to be the loan closing balance? What is going to be the closing balance? The closing balance is going to be like this only, because there is no, in the 0th period, there is no payment. All right. So whatever will be the closing balance in the last period is going to be the opening balance for the period after that. All right. So this is our period. Now let us see EMT. How do we calculate now the PMT? All right. All right. So let's say we say PMT. When I say PMT, now what is the thing that we have to understand? We have to put in the rate. All right. So we put in the rate as 0.5. All right. And how many number of periods are there? 120, right? We have to find out the present value. So we leave it at that. So the present value happens to be this amount. The future value, obviously, after you have paid the loan, what is going to be the future value of the loan? Somebody quick?
0.
0. And then there is something called as type. In this type, what I want you to do is to select 0. The reason why we select 0, I'm going to explain it a little later. And then just close this bracket and say, oops. All right. H6, 120, G6. H6.5 120 G600. Yeah, this is correct. Where did we go wrong? Okay, let's just do this once again. Okay, rate is 5. All right. The number of periods is 120. It should be 0. And then it should be once again 0. Why it is behaving like this? H6 120. I think we missed 1 0 out here, is it? Should not be the case. We just okay, let's do this one. This should not be the case. There is some problem which is okay. My rate is all right. Okay. Can somebody tell me what has gone wrong? All right. Now what I want you to do is to take this value, then multiply with this rate. All right. All right. Okay. Then through this, then balance will be this. Plus this. All right. Okay. And then 38979. 38979. All right. So now what I'm going to do is all right. Showing 327. That's absolutely fine. The closing loan balance 98,766. Yeah. All right. So with this being the case, can the amortization sheet be completed? Okay, so if we proceed in this fashion, the entire sheet will be completed. Am I right? And we have done it correctly. The proof of this is that the closing loan balance at the end of 120 month happens to be 0. Can everybody see and everybody confirm that this is exactly the case? Can somebody confirm? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in front of you, what I did is that I just published an entire amortization schedule. This is exactly the same thing which has been done here. Okay, now in this, for the over the next 120 months, whatever be your payment that you have to do, assuming that the rate of interest remains 6% annualized or 0.5% on a monthly basis, this is the EMI that will be paid, and this is the principal that is going to be paid, and this is the interest that is going to be paid. Obviously, these things do change. All of these three things would change. The only thing that does not change is this particular column. All right. Now, from this period, the first thing that I want you to do is to calculate at your end itself once again. So what you want you to do is to press this button, second TVM. I don't want you to go to the second TVM once again. Second clear TVM. After you've done that, put all the details as has been required. What are those details that are required? N is equal to 120. I by Y happens to be 0.5. The PV today is going to be minus of 1 million. So that is 10, 100, and then this thing, 10, 100,000. This million. FV is obviously 0 because at the end of your tenure, your loan balance is going to be 0. You have to find out what is going to be my EMI. So if you'd have to press the CPT PMT and it is going to give you a value. Can all of you do this and see whether this value is matching with this or not? Can you confirm?
It's matching.
It's matching. So that means that we have done it correctly. We have done it correctly. All right. So the first thing that the first part of the question that was being asked. So let's just again switch the slide. We're going to come back to this once again. Don't worry. But now what I want you to do is to let's go back to the tutorial. Yes. So on this part of the tutorial, so the first question has been answered, right? What was the first question? What is going to be the monthly installment? So it is going to be some one. Can you tell me what is the figure that you're coming? What is the figure that you're getting? 1,11,000, right? Something
1,11,000 020.5.
021, let's say. Okay, just rounding it up, nothing special. Okay, so this is going to be the equated monthly installment. What is the second part of the problem that is saying? That it says that 2 years, 7 months down the line, Anand has an option to refinance a loan at a lower rate of interest from a competitor. Can you tell me what would be the principal balance by then? So here, what do we understand? 2 years, 7 months. So 2 years, 7 months would mean how many months? 31 months, right? So after 31 months, what is the principal balance that's being asked? So this is my question number 2. So let's again go back to the working sheet of ours. And let's see. So 2 years and 7 months would mean we are talking about this period, right? Are we talking about this period, 31? 2 years, 7 months is being talked about. So 2 years, 7 months is going to be 31 months. Am I right?
Right.
That's all right. So please be fast because we have to cover a lot of things. So after 31 months payment has been done, what is the principal outstanding after the payment has been done? This is my principal outstanding. Can all of you see? After the month 31, which is 2 years, 7 months, the principal outstanding happens to be this much, right? Okay. Now in this, all I want you to do is to understand that we had about, I'm roughly speaking, we had taken out a loan close to about 1 million. After 39 months, almost close to 0.204 million have been paid. This much amount have been paid. This is a rough calculation only. We will get back to the actual calculation. Don't worry. This much has been paid, and balance amount is 0.796 million. Am I right? 0.796 million is the balance amount of the principal. All right. So from here, also, how much of a total interest we have paid? Can we find that out? Can that be found out?
Yes, balance amount.
That is the principal. What is the interest? What is the total interest you have paid? Where is the interest column? Here is my interest column. So let me just let me freeze the pane. It is going to be important then. Okay.
It's simply 31 times EMT minus this figure.
So if we simply take this figure from here, it's going to give me the sum, right? What is the sum? Can anybody tell me? Is the sum visible? 140 on the bottom of the screen, 140, 1023. Is it visible? The total interest, I have simply summed it up from the first time the payment was made, the interest column. I've just summed it up from the payment 1 till payment 31. And if you sum it up, it is going to be somewhere close to 1401023. 1401023. Now I want you to write these two figures. I want you to write this balance 0.796 million as principal balance, and I want you to write 1401023. 1401023. This is basically the sum of all the interest that has been paid from month 1 to 31. Okay. Up to this thing, anybody has any question? Any question anybody has? All right. So what did we understand? We understood that up until the 31st month, the principal balance, the principal paid has been about 0.2 million. The principal balance is about close to about 8 million, 0.8 million. And the interest that has been paid so far is close to about 1.4 million interest has been paid so far. Sorry, not 1.4 million. 140 or 1,000 interest has been paid so far. 1401023. This is the amount that has been paid as part of interest. Okay, so this is the Excel sheet that we have worked on. Let us see if we can produce the same result in our calculator. So what I want you to do is to, because I have myself not doing it, so what I'm doing, want you to do is to press second and press the amort function. Can you do that? Press second and press the amort function. Second amort. Can you do that?
Done.
Okay, so you're going to see there are three values that are going to come. One is P1. I want you to press the down key, and then there is going to be P2. And again, I'm going to want you to press the down key. And then again, press the down key. You will see BAL, that is the balance. Again, I want you to press the down key, and it also says PRN. I want you to again press the down key, and I want you to press the down key again, and it is going to say interest. If you press the down key once again, you're going to come back to P1 here. Okay. Is this what everybody else is getting? Please answer fast, quick.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So in this P1, now I want you to put 31. And in this P2, again, I want you to put 31. Okay. So P1, you have already found out the TVM, right? The TVM part you have already found out, wherein this is the amount of interest this is the amount of EMI that you're paying every month, right? So in P1, I want you to write 31. In P2, I want you to write 31. Okay. And then as you press the down key again, press the CPT button. Press the CPT button. Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir.
How much you're getting? What is the value that you're getting in BAL? What is this value? Kaushik, Yogesh.
7959,387.97. This is minus.
Obviously, it was going to be in minus. Is this the same value? Is this the
Yeah.
same value?
Yeah.
Can everybody confirm this is the same value that you're getting? 7959,387.97. I mean, not to the last decimal, of course, but very close to this value. Are you getting this? All of you are getting this value? All of you are getting this value?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then I want you to press the down key once again. And you're coming to PRN. And in this PRN, again, I want you to press the CPT button.
Seven zero eight six 9.21.
70.
869.21.
This is the principal that you're paying on the between the 31st in the 31st period. Again, press the down key.
40,151.28.
This is the interest that you have paid. All right. Now, what did we do in the 31st period? On the 31st period, the balance, because this balance is a cumulative balance, so this balance is always going to give you the cumulative value. Okay. And in the 31st period itself, the split of this EMI in the interest and the principal component are also displayed here. Now, what I want you to do is to press the down key once again. Press the down key once again, and you're going to come back to P1. Are you seeing P1?
Yes.
Now I want you to do P1 is equal to 1. Put P1 is equal to 1. Press the down key and put P2 as equal to 31. And do the rest of the math and see what the values you are getting. Excuse me for about 15 seconds, but do this math.
This throws the figure of total interest paid and total principal paid in the calculator.
Yes. So all of you got it. So once you vary through this particular figures, this period as you vary, accordingly, the amortization sheet is going to give you how much of money you have paid as part of principal, how much is obviously the balance after the last period, how much of that money has got into paying the interest, the cumulative value of it, right? Is everything clear from here? Anybody has any question here?
No, it's clear.
All right. Thank you very much. So just I'm extending, this is the same worksheet which I did for you. So in between also, if somebody tells that what has been the payment that has been made between P1, that is 10th period, and P2 is equal to 12th period. Obviously, you can find out, right? It's as easy as that. But this amortization worksheet is very, very important, not only from your exam perspective, but perhaps your own real life perspective as well. So what I'm going to do is that then let's go to the next understanding of ours. I hope this particular thing, we already found out, right? The 2.5 months after, after this, so this value we found out here, how much interest we found out. So we can find out the last portion of this sum says that the same thing to be found out between 1 year, 8 months. 1 year, 8 months means 20th month, and 2 years, 6 months. 2 years, 6 months is 30th month, right? So between 20 and 30th period, how much is to be, how much money has been paid? That is, what is the EMI, total EMI, cumulative EMI, and that's what is the total principal that has been paid, and what is the total interest that has been paid, and what is the balance principal. Obviously, you can find out, right? I don't have to get into this. I hope it is clear now. So let's move to the next worksheet, and that is the cash flow worksheet. Now, this is again a very, very tricky worksheet, but I want you to pay full attention to this. So far, the TVM worksheet actually taught us that you could do anything with the time value of money. But however, please understand that when we are talking about TVM worksheet, there are a few assumptions which are important. Assumption number one is that the payment is constant each period, right? That's assumption number one. Second is all the payment that we talked about in that TVM worksheet, all of them carried the same sign. That means either we are paying money, so that the PMT will be preceded with a negative sign. If you are receiving money, then the PMT is going to be preceded with a plus sign, right? But however, let's talk about two important aspects. And that two important aspect is, let's say there is an industrialist and that industrialist wants to put up a plant. So obviously there is going to be an initial investment, right? There is going to be an initial investment, let's say some minus dollar. So whatever the initial investment, that is obviously a negative cash flow. So this is the investment, right? Second is that after the investment is being made, thereafter, obviously the project is going to take some time to break even. Immediately, nobody's going to get any profit. And then there is the cash flows that the project is going to generate. There is no guarantee that those cash flows are going to be even and uniform in nature. Am I right in my understanding? Has anybody has any issue in not understanding what I'm saying?
No, correct.
Great. So when you are faced with these kind of problems, then your TVM worksheet does not quite come into a handy, helpful tool, right? A handy, helpful, it does not become a handy, helpful tool automatically. And that is exactly where we make use of the next template, which is called as the cash flow worksheet. So in this cash flow worksheet, we addressed few things. First is obviously the initial investment part of it, which is being represented by a negative cash flows. This is the first thing that we address. Second is obviously the variability of the cash flow, right? Second is the variability of cash flow. Third is we deal with, when we say variability, we also deal with the plus and minus sign of cash flow, obviously, because when we're talking about a large capital projects, the initial years could get me negative cash flows, right? The initial years could be negative cash flow. Maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, there's going to be some positive cash flow. So when you actually want to evaluate a project, we obviously cannot ignore these negative cash flows, which actually get generated during the first few years of life of that particular project. So third important aspect is the variability of, second is variability of cash flow. Third is obviously the sign change of the cash flow. Fourth is obviously when we're talking about a project for n number of period, we are talking about the let's say 10-year period. So during this 10-year period, as I say, each year there is going to be different cash flow. Each year there is going to be different cash flow. Okay. So the cash flow worksheet helps us to tackle these kind of problems, which the TVM worksheet will not be able to do. Okay. So some of the syntax that we need to understand is CF0, which is used for the initial to actually map the initial cash flows. The cash flow function, which is there in your calculator, that can store up to 32 values. The next is F. F is nothing but the frequency. What I mean to say is that, for example, you invested $10 million US. The first year, let's say you've got minus 2 million, right? Now this minus 2 million continues for the next 3 years. Okay. So do I input this value of minus 2 every time that I do it? The Calc provides a shortcut to that. The answer is no. How do I tackle this? So if we have got successive such cash flows, identical cash flows appearing year after year for some years, so all that we can do is that instead of the frequency being 1, we can raise the frequency being 3. That input flexibility the calculator provides you. Next is obviously helps the calculator helps us to calculate something called as the net present value. The calculator also helps us in calculating something called as the net future value, and obviously the last but not the least is something called as IRR. Now, exclusively from the point of view of FRM, exclusively from the point of view of FRM, all of these 3 functions would be required in the single sum, and they would actually appear as part of your exam. The chances are not that great. Okay, the chances are not good there. That is to say that the TVM problems, obviously they're going to appear in your FRM exam, but this cash flow related such problems, how much of that would appear? They can appear, it's not that they cannot, but how much of the variability is, the chances are pretty less. However, I want you to learn this because this is very, very important, because today you're learning FRM, tomorrow you might migrate and you may want to graduate to learning to CFA as well, or some other financial courses. So there, this learning would come handy. So let's see what it is talking about. All right, so let's immediately dive to a project. A project envisages an upfront investment of USD this much, that is USD 10 million, with the following cash flows over the next 20 odd years. Okay, so here I have assumed that all the cash flows are positive. Doesn't matter, it could be negative as well, but it absolutely does not matter. Okay, now here with this, what else is being talked about? That the discount rate of this project is 10%. And with this 10%, we have to find out the NPV, NFV, DB, and DPV. What is DB and DPV? DB happens to be this is actually PB, not DB. PB happens to be the payback period, and DPV happens to be the discounted payback period. We'll return to that. What is meant by that? It is also asking about something called as IRR, and then it is talking about something called as RI, and etc. Okay, now before that, I want all of you to tell me, do you understand the meaning of NPV? How many people do not understand the meaning of NPV? Ask me, because without this, we will not be able to proceed. How many people do not know? Just raise your hand or let me know.
Sir,
Sorry?
sir, I don't know what is NP.
Okay, so Jitaditya, right? No,
Sir, I'm Aditya.
Aditya has actually said that he doesn't know what is NPV. Anybody else who does not know?
So net present value.
Net present value, of course, it's net present value. And what is NFV?
Net future value.
Net future value. All right. So let's just understand a few terminologies out here before we dive into this particular problem, because otherwise it's not going to make much of a sense. Okay. So let's go back to our thing that, let's say we have got a particular capital project at our hand. Okay. This is T is equal to 0, and then this is T is equal to 20. This is a 20-year project. And here you make the investment. How much investment you are making? You're making a $10 million investment. But obvious, when you're making $10 million investment, it is a cash outflow. So we denote every cash flow outflow as a minus sign. I'm denoting here within the bracket. So you understand this is $10 million of upfront investment. So how many years are there? There are 20 odd years. So this is T is equal to 1, T is equal to 2, so on and so forth. This is T is equal to, let's say, 10. This is, let's say, T is equal to 15, so on and so forth. All right. Now, what else are there? Let's get ourselves familiarized with the terminologies that are being used. So these are the cash flows. Obviously, you understand what is meant by cash flows. For example, the first year cash flow happens to be $50,000. The second year, it happens to be, let's say, 75,000. So that is, again, one more cash flows, and then so on and so forth, right? In the 10th year, it is 350,000, right? And in the 20th year, this happens to be 325, which is appearing here. These are the cash inflows that's happening. Obviously, you can understand that any cash flow that is preceding with a minus sign would denote cash outflow and not cash inflow. All right. So if suppose you are making a project proposal, and in this project proposal, you make this projection, but obviously your boss is going to ask, hey, what is the net present value of this particular project? Because if the net present value is positive, then your organization and your boss might ask you, well, you may undertake this project, because if the net present value of this project is positive, that means that the project is generating a positive yield to the company. So that is why we get interested in finding out the net present value of this. Okay, so what is meant by net present value? Well, net present value all means is that we add up all the present value of the future cash flows in a present value manner, and then from this we deduct the initial investment. So when we do that, that gives us the net present value. But obviously, when we are talking about net present value, we need something called as the discount rate. So this is the discount rate. So the 10% discount rate actually discounts each of these cash flows to their present value. Okay, and then we add all of them. We get to the present value of the cash flows, and from the present value of cash flow, if we deduct the initial investment, in this particular case happens to be the 10 million, we get something called as the net present value. Okay, so this is the first important thing that we understood. The second is something called as a net future value. Now, what is called as a net future value? It is perhaps a little exactly the opposite of the net present value. What it means is that instead of discounting this at 10%, what this would have been if I get this $10 million in bank at the rate of 10%. Because if you're discounting something at 10%, it is equally true if you're discounting it for 10% to come to present value. To go to future value, you will simply compound it by 10%, right? So this $10 million that you're investing today, instead of actually making this investment here, what it is going to yield you 20 years down the line at the rate of 10%. So if you do all of this and then you do all of these cash flows also, if you project for the rest of the year, obviously you can understand the first cash flow is going to be projected for 19 years. The 0th cash flow is going to be projected for 20 years. The second cash flow is going to be projected for 18 years. The third cash flow is going to be projected for 17 years, and so on and so forth. If you do all of that, and then again, if you add all of them and deduct the initial investment, now it is no longer going to be initial investment because we're talking about the future value of initial investment. Okay. Then whatever value that you get, this value you're going to get here. The NPV happens to be here. The NFV happens to be here. That value is called as a net future value. Okay. Now, what is meant by the PB? PB means the payback period. So the payback period means that the cash flows as you're receiving, if this cash flows, if you add up, which is that year at which this would exactly equal to the initial investment being made. That is called as the PB.
Is
Okay.
it equal to the break-even? Basically, we are talking about break-even.
Yes, it is equal to the break even, but there are two variations to it as actually practitioners use. One is called the PB, as in just adding up all the cash flows. For example, you know, you're seeing these cash flows, so 50,000, 750,000, 350,000. If you add all of them, you'll see that at around this year 9, it will actually equate to this value. So this is called the payback period. But since these are all in future, so some of the practitioners say, well, we are also interested into something called as the discounted payback period, because these values we are getting in future, so we need to actually discount them to the present value and then add them up and see which is that year in the particular year where all the discounted cash flows, when we add up, they are going to add up to the initial investment. So that is called as the DPV. So these are two variations of it. Obviously, not all of them are going to be essential and relevant to your FRM exam, but this is what is important. So now that I've explained it to all of you, let's again go back to our Excel sheet and first solve the problem on Excel sheet, and then we will solve it in our calculator themselves. All right. For your understanding, if you can just take a snapshot of these value, because these are the answers, and we'll see whether these answers match or not, because this answer has been directly gleaned out from the Excel sheet. All right. Okay. So let's go back to our Excel sheet. There you go. All right. Okay. So now let's come back to this. So this is the initial investment that are being made, and I just mapped all the cash flows that are being projected. And here the 10% discount rate is there. So you can see I have just discounted all these cash flows at the rate of 10%. Okay, so if you discount all the cash flows at the rate of 10% to their present value, how there will be. So the first cash flow will be discounted for 1 period. You can follow the syntax as has been given. So 1 period. The second cash flows is going to be discounted for 2 periods. The third cash flow is going to be discounted for 3 periods, so on and so forth. The 20th cash flow is going to be discounted for 20th period, okay, to make them to the present value. All right. So if you do this, then this entire present value happens to be 13,79,684. Okay, 13,79,684. So from this 13,79,684, if you deduct the initial investment, you're going to get 379,684. This happens to be the net present value. Sounds good? All of you agree with this? Anybody has any question here? Anybody has any question here? Anybody has any question here? Answer me yes or no, please.
No, sir.
All right. So with this now, what did we do? We found out the NPV out here. Exactly the reverse operation. If you do, this is going to give me the NFV. So NFV is when you project this, obviously, as I said, This is the first cash flow. So this now gets projected for 19 periods. If you discount this, sorry, this is the cash flow. This is the present value of the cash flow. So this present value of this is the present value of this cash flow. This is the cash flow that you're getting. So this cash flow that you're getting, if you have to project them on future, so this is what it is. It is going to be obviously projected for 19 periods. The second cash flow is going to be projected for 18 periods. The last cash flow obviously does not get projected for any period at all. Okay, so they are as it is. Okay, so this is the net, this is the future value. So of this future value, if you add all of this future value, okay, so if you add all of this future value from here till here, you're going to get some 92,81825. This is the value that you're going to get. And from this value, again, since we projected all the value in future, so we also need to project the value of the initial investment also to this future. This obviously is going to be projected for 20 periods. You understand that? So if we project that, and then if we deduct it from the cash inflows, so basically what we are doing is that we're doing only a couple of things. We have the cash inflows, and then we have the cash outflows. All that we are doing is that we are either making all of them in present value, or we are making everything on future value. One of the two things is correct. Okay. So in either of these cases, after we've done that, we simply deduct all this, the initial investment from all the cash flow summed up. So here also we did the same thing. After you have deducted, this is what the value that you're getting. So this is an Excel sheet working. Anybody has any issue in this? Because this cannot lie. This is exactly what it is. Anybody has any issue? All right. So now let's also talk about the payback period. So the payback period is nothing but the summation of all this cash flows to see where they add up to the initial investment. So if you add this cash flows up here, I would see in the 9th period. Oops, what happened? Sorry, this is the cash flow, so not the present value. So if you add in the 9th period, exactly see that at the 9th period, the sum is equal to the $10 million, the $1 million. Can everybody see? It is actually coming to something a little bit more than $1 million, but this is this period, the 9th period, actually it covers for the $1 million. All of you agree? I hope you do. Similarly, if you add the discounted cash flows, so this is the discounted cash flows. Let's see which period gives me the value. So on the 12th period, again, this value of sum is going to be $1 million something plus. All of you can see, right? So this is the discounted period. This is the payback period. All right. So this is something that we have done in our Excel sheet. Let's see whether the same result can we get out of our cash flow function. So for this, what I want you to do is to press second and press clear TVM and press second and press the clear work. So again, make this operation. Second clears work. Second clear TVM. Do this math, please. Once you've done that, what you have done is that you have freed your calculator from any of the remnant memory in your calculator. Now what you do is to press second and press the CF. Press second and press the CF. You will see that CF0 is appearing on your screen. In this CF0, I want you to write the $1 million, but with a negative sign, and press enter. So you write 10, 100, 1,000, and then press the plus minus sign. And press enter. Have all of you done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then press the down key. In the down key, you will have this values that has been given. 50,000, 75,000, 35,000, all of these values are given. Up to this 20 values are given. Now, because of paucity of time, I'm not asking because we have got a few more things to cover. So what I want you to do is to take this thing as an exercise. You know, take a snapshot of this, whatever is appearing on a screen, take a snapshot of this. And what I want you to do is to press, let's press a first few values. So let's say 50,000. So we press 50,000 and press enter, and then press again the down key. Once you press the down key, it is appearing as F01. F01, as I told you, is the frequency. Leave it at 1 as it is, because we are not seeing a repetition of 50,000 here successively. If it is not happening, remember, if 50,000 repeatedly and successively, these two words are important, repeatedly and successively are appearing, then we could change the F01 frequency to how many numbers are happening. For example, if 50,000 cash flow, if we got in the second period, so we would have changed F01 from 1 to 2 and press the enter. But But here it's just one period, so we leave it at 1. Press the down key again, if we come to the second cash flow, enter 75,000 and press enter and press the down key again. You've got F02, leave it at 1, add 1 default value, press the down key again. You've come to the third cash flow, which is 35,000, enter 35,000 and then press the down key again. It will default take 1 and then again so on and so forth. So if you do this math, after you've inputted all of this value, the thing that you have to do is to then second quit. That means you have come out of this worksheet and then go to second NPV. When you go to second NPV, what I want you to do is to put the discount rate as 10%. Okay, put the discount rate as 10%, press the down key, and you will get the NPV as written. And all that you have to do is to press CPT. If you do that right now, obviously it's not going to give you the correct result because you have not inputted all the 20 values. So once you put the CPT NPV, just see to it whether you are getting this particular value or not, which is 379684. Press the down key again, and you will get NFV. Press the press the CPT button again and see for yourself whether you're getting this value or not. Press the down key again and you will see PV. Just again press CPT and see whether you're getting this value or not. Press the down key again and you will see DPV. When you see DPV, press CPT and see for yourself whether you're getting this value or not. So take this thing as a homework. If you have understood this, then that would mean that you have actually understood how to calculate the CF cash flow worksheet. So from here, let's go back to the next portion of the calculator, and that is okay. Cash flow worksheet we have already done. Annuity. So annuity is a very it's not that difficult. All that it says is two things that we need to understand. Again, very important from a finance perspective. One is called an ordinary annuity, another is called an annuity due. The only difference between these two are that when we talk about ordinary annuity, the payment is being made or payment is being received, as the case may be, at the end of the year or the end of the period. And when we are talking about annuity due, that is being talked about at the beginning of the year. Now, you may ask which kind of investment we are talking about. Well, it's not always part of the investment. For example, if you have to pay rent, so rent normally you pay at the beginning of the year, okay? And for example, if you have invested somewhere and you're receiving interest, so you receive the interest at the end of the period. When I say period, here I'm understanding that when we say period, one period is 1 month, okay? So one period is 1 month. So when you're talking about a period, that means 1 month. So if you have to pay the rent, you pay at the beginning of the month. If you're receiving the interest from the bank, you're going to receive interest at the end of the month. That is exactly what is the difference between an ordinary annuity and an annuity due. An ordinary annuity is where the cash flow is being considered at the end of the period. An annuity due is a cash flow at the beginning of the period. Okay, all right. So how does actually annuity come into picture? So many a times in your FRN exam as well, you'll see, they will have some annuity problem. So for example, let's take this example. If an investment promise $15,000 every year for eternity, what would be the value of this investment? The interest rate is 12% fixed forever. So it is very simple. All that you have to do is to divide 15,000 by 12%. Can somebody tell me what is the value? Can somebody tell me what is the value?
$1250.
It cannot be 1250 because 15,000 you're receiving. And you're dividing it by 0.12, right? 15,000 divided by 0.12. 125,000.
125,000.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's understand one thing. This is where we're talking about an ordinary annuity. But if this 15,000 is being received at the beginning of the year itself, all that we do is we make this ordinary annuity, we calculate this ordinary annuity, and with this ordinary annuity, we add one more PMT. So one more PMT would mean 15,000 we add here. This is 140,000. Okay, so what does this mean? All that it means is that we are talking about an investment that pays me at the rate of 12% forever. If that is so, what is the value of this investment? So the value of that investment happens to be 125,000. And if I stay somewhere and I pay rent forever, and obviously, as I say, the rent is being paid at the beginning of the year. So what is the value of that investment to the landlord? So the landlord value is this. One is annuity due, sorry, one is ordinary annuity. This is ordinary annuity at the end of the year. Annuity due is this one at the beginning of the year. The only difference is how to calculate annuity due. Just calculate the ordinary annuity as the case may be. With that, we have to just add one more period of the payment. All right. So from here, there are next important aspect, which is basically the bond worksheet, and then the date worksheet is there. What we will do is and start and regression. This is also there. So what I project is that we will take up the bond worksheet and the date worksheet. Let's take up, and we will take up the rest of the things in our next class when we do. So we are going to take 1 more hour. So that 1 more hour exercise we will do sometimes in next week. So let's come to this date worksheet. So in date worksheet, why it is important? Because sometimes, especially for the fixed income kind of problems, wherein we have to calculate some accrued interest, we have to calculate some bond related problems, the date workshop would be required. So instead of actually physically counting the number of days in between, we can make use of the calculators. The way to do it, the syntax please follows is second one. If you press second one, you'll get a value. Can somebody tell me what is the value that you're getting in DT1?
31 12 1990.
Yes, this is the default value. Everybody else is also going to get the same value. Okay.
Yes.
31st of December 1990. Press the down key again, and again you will see the same thing. This format is the European format of data. Okay. This format is the European format of data. Now let us say we are talking about, I'm just giving an example. How do we go? Yeah, let's just go about it. Let's say you purchased a bond that is somewhere in, let's say, September 15 of 2022, and you're going to retire this bond or you're going to sell this bond. Now you've got two choices. Either you hold it to the maturity, okay, or you sell somewhere in between. Okay. Let's just assume in either of these cases, I'm just assuming per se, it doesn't matter. Let's assume that I'm going to sell off this bond in December 15, 2025. Okay. So my biggest question out here is that how many number of days are in between there? Can we find it out? Obviously, it's going to be very strenuous if I have to calculate ourselves. So what I want to do is, first and foremost, put the date in my calculator. So how we put the date in the calculator? We write second DT1, just follow the syntax, second DT1, and input there as, write the date as 15.0922 and press enter. 15.0922 and press enter. All of you have done that? Can somebody confirm if you've done that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and press the down key. If you press the down key, then you're going to get to the date 2. In this date 2, what I want you to do is to write 15.1225 and press enter. 15.1225 and press enter. And press the down key again. If you press the down key, then you're going to come to DBT. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Press simply CPT. How much value are you getting?
12768.
Oh no,
1187.
1187. You can get one of the two values. Either it is 1187 or another value, but not 1280, what you're saying. Okay, so now here is the deal. Okay. What I want you to do is to press 7, press cancel, press CEC. Press CEC and then press second and press format. When you press second and press format, okay. So this is there. Okay, sorry, don't press that. Second. Yeah, press the down key after this. In this date format itself, press the down key. After you've got the DVD, press the down key. In the date format itself, in this particular worksheet itself, after you have found this, press the down key. Can you press the down key?
ACT.
It is ACT showing. Can all of you confirm you're getting ACT?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what I want you to do now is to press second and press enter.
$360.
You're getting 360. Now let me just tell you what is the difference. When your calculator is in ACT mode, it exactly counts all the months as they're appearing, which is 30, 31, February 28, February 29, everything. But when you're pressing 360, here every month is being counted as 30 only, regardless of whether it is 30, 31, 28, or 29. Okay. So these are the two different formats. There's nothing wrong or nothing right about it. Okay. Now again, press the down key. You'll come back to date 1. Press the down key again. You'll come back to date 2. Press the down key again. You'll come to DVD. The earlier DVD that you found out was 1187. Now I want you to press the CPT button and see for yourself what values are you getting.
1170.
1170. Okay. So this is why this thing is important, is because in exams, sometimes we might have to make use of something called as accrued interest. In order to calculate the value of the accrued interest, the date, number of days are required. Obviously, you cannot actually count physically the number of days between two given dates. This is a quick and shortcut method to find out the number of days in between 2 days, or 2 particular dates that are being. Okay, all right. So with this, we need to actually stop the presentation here. What we're going to do is that we will assemble for the next class sometimes, where we will take up the next next portion, that is going to be the bond worksheet and the stat. These are two important aspects which is there, and that will conclude our calculator tutorial. Thank you very much, all of you. I hope you guys enjoyed.